too difficult to see, but this is the spreadsheet we use to come up with those numbers. What can I show you? Focus is not really great either. Let's see if I can sharpen that at all. So what we did is we took the implicit price deflator from the state's own estimates, and those are reflected there. What we looked at for population growth for Jefferson County, we showing for 2010 reflecting the same rate of growth as we had in 2009. And then for the next 4 years, looking at mirroring the 3-year average of population growth for for Jefferson County the last 3 years, which is 0.94%, so a little less than 1%. And so, let's see, what you can see here are some of the reductions that we would need to make each year, which total to the 2.575 million. We would end with, this is our unreserved cash balance. You can see that we would be buying it down almost to zero by 2011, and then start rebuilding it back up to just under $1 million of unreserved. That's above our 10% reserve. So working hard to rebuild a little bit of cushion for the future. So Initiative 1033 will make our budget choices that are already difficult even harder. So we already have the 1% limit on property taxes. 1033 extends new limits to the other general fund revenues and worsens our structural funding gap. It would index general fund revenues to 2009 levels, and this is a year where we're experiencing a historic economic recession that has dramatically restricted our revenues, as I've shown you. By way of example, recall that tax revenues, sales tax revenues are 10% lower this year than they were in 2006. And because of the limitation on exceeding the rate of population and inflation as measured by the IPD, it doesn't allow us, as the economy swings up, to make up the ground that we've lost. And in looking at 1033, the initial years don't show much impact from it, and I'll show you why. Let me go backward here. So you can see, because here's the green, recall that the green graph is our revenue projection. Because for the next several years, you can see there's very little growth. These years are not constrained, because basically they're bad years. They're not constrained by the implicit price deflator plus population, right? It's only when you get back over in here where we start having more normal economic growth that limit really shows up. So the immediate impact of 1033 is hidden in these first couple of years and really shows up here. And then every year after that, as long as, every year after that.
And the green line will be flatter and the gap will be greater.
Right, exactly. Okay, so by 2014, from what we would plan today for if we were balancing the budget as we presented to you in August and are continuing to work with the department directors and electeds, you know, by 2014, whatever cuts we're doing by then, which add up to over $2 million, we're adding another 458,000 roughly cuts that year from what we otherwise would have needed to do. What does that equal to? Well, to put it in context, that difference of $458,000, you can pick a menu here of which things you, for illustration purposes, that could equal. Cooperative extension programs, the general fund presently contributes about $184,000 to WSU cooperative extension for master gardeners, clean water programs, youth programs. That could be gone. In community health, we put in just shy of $400,000 for women women with infants and children, and family support services. That could be gone. Also in public health, in natural resources, we have $181,000 of general fund match for state grants. We could need to give all that up. Senior programs at Port Townsend Seniors, the community centers, and to OLICAP. Presently, we put $153,000 of general fund money into that. That could be gone. We've already made significant cuts to Parks and Recreation, but with the additional 458, if we didn't do these other things, we might need to simply entirely eliminate our Parks and Recreation department. To put it in the context of criminal justice, that amount of money translates by 2014 into 5 deputies and corrections officers. Or if we were to concentrate cuts elsewhere in the county, that would equal about, by 2014 and likely wage rates then, would equal about a little bit more than 7 full-time staff. So that gives you a sense of the impact, the additional impact 1033 would have on us compared to the substantial $2 million worth of reductions that we're going to need to make in the next 5 years anyway. But that's not all. Then there's the next year after 2014. And so, because again of the constraints on revenues versus the natural rate of growth and costs of providing our services, we'd look at needing to add on to that in the next year another $157,000 of new permanent cuts, and to do that or more each year after that. What that equals is senior programs. It could be another 1.7 deputies or correctional officers, or another 2.3 staff elsewhere in the county. And that would happen each